This mobility module is the first thing you'll do in the force program. We've called this module out as a standalone for a couple of reasons. One, it's a great way to get ready to do your force training on the TRX suspension trainer, but it's also a great way to improve your overall performance and durability. You have to be in the right movement mastery mindset to get the most out of this and all your exercises on the TRX. It's going to be a combination of movement prep, activation, and stretching. It's going to get those joints moving in the patterns we want. It's going to get that core turned on, and it's something you have to take seriously. It's not something you just passively do before your workout. This is an integral part of your workout. In fact, some days if you only have 10 or 15 minutes, it's more important that you would do this mobility module than the workout itself. You can do this before you start your force program, before you go for a long run, before you take your guys out on patrol, or before you do anything active in the day. On your days off, use this mobility module as a way to keep your body working strong. You can do this first thing you do when you wake up in the morning. You can do it right before you shut it down at night. I can't emphasize how important this is going to be for overall movement quality, movement mastery mindset, and to get the most out of your strength, power, and conditioning training on the TRX. Before you get started, make sure the TRX suspension trainer is set up the right way. Check out the Setup Youth section on this DVD. That's going to ensure you get the most out of these workouts for smooth transitions and safe adjustments. Let's get started. This mobility workout starts off with our TRX forward lunge to half kneeling hip flexor stretch. Remember, this is a dynamic warm-up, so it's not about holding them for static stretches. It's about getting everything moving the right way. So you want to adjust your suspension trainer to mid-length. You're going to start by standing facing away from the anchor point and set yourself up so you're at the beginning with a nice easy chest press. If you're going to do a nice relaxed easy angle chest press, and from here you're going to step forward with that left leg. That left arm drops down to the side, right arm goes up and over. You hold the bottom just for a count and then drive yourself back to standing. You're going to alternate legs. Whichever leg goes forward, that arm's going to drop down, opposite arm reaches up. You're going to hold that bottom position just for a breath or for a count. Feel yourself opening up into that chest and feel that hip flexor on that rear leg opening. You can squeeze into that glute. You'll see that everybody's moving at whatever rate feels comfortable for them. There's no magic speed for this. Get down, find yourself, open it up, re-engage, and bring yourself back up. You're going to do 10 full reps, so you'll be doing 5 reps on each side at your own pace. The key here is to think about keeping that core turned on so we get some proximal stability, leading to some mobility in the shoulders, the shoulder girdle, and the hips. The next exercise is going to be the TRX stand-facing wall slides. So keep the suspension trainer at mid-length, and now you're going to stand facing the anchor point. You're going to take those foot cradles and put them over your knuckles so it's sitting on top of that crease in your thumb, and you're going to find your end range first. You're going to start with a nice tall standing posture. You want to feel like the back of your head, the middle of your shoulder blades, your hips and your heels will be touching the wall. Arms are splayed out this way. And now you're going to reach those hands up over top and re-engage that core. You're going to do 5 reps of these wall slides, keeping that core engaged. Feel like you're bringing the bottom of that rib cage down towards your pelvis. You're going to work at your own speed. The tension on the straps comes from you driving those shoulders back. Reach all the way up to the top, still trying to keep as much space as you can between your ears and your shoulders, keeping that posterior chain lit up, keeping that core lit up. Once again, coming back to a strong plank and mobilities into the shoulders. Once you've done 5 reps of your arms moving together, you're going to push it up to the top, and you're going to hold it there for a second. And now that right arm's going to stay up. You're going to bring that left arm down, and we're going to go into a crawl pattern just for 3 cycles. One arm comes up, the other arm comes down, core stays turned on, getting mobility into that shoulders, core's continuing to stay turned on. You're just doing 3 cycles or 6 reps. Now that we got that upper body and that core start to lit up, we're going to move into something where we're going to work on that mobility in the hips. It's going to be our TRX hip hinge. So we're going to keep the straps at the same length. Now you're going to hold the handles. You're going to start and walk yourself back facing the anchor point so your arms are straight out in front of your chest. Take advantage of that posture being nice and tall. And the whole idea here is to go into a hip hinge, driving those hips back and arms forward. Athletes, go ahead and get started. Think about pushing your hips back and your arms as far out in front of you as you can. You can go soft into the knees and bring yourself back up. You want the hips to drive this motion for 5 reps. Hips drive back, back stays nice and flat. You're putting some pressure down into the handles so that spine stays nice and long. And to come back up, you're thinking of basically doing a standing hip press to bring yourself back tall. You want to feel the sides of your bodies opening. You want to feel your hamstrings and your whole entire lower posterior chain lengthening out. That core stays turned on the whole time because you're driving your hands down into the suspension frame. Looking for that nice, strong hip hinge. And once again, you'll notice our athletes are moving at their own pace. It's not a speed move here. It's get down, feel that bottom position, reset, and bring yourself back up through your hips. You're just going to get 5 reps here, just enough to get yourself warmed up. Alexis is taking herself down with her great mobility, re-engaging and standing back up. Our next move is going to be our long torso twist. We're going to do 3 reps on each side here. You're going to start by standing, facing the anchor point, just like you are now. You're going to start with your hips square to the anchor point, shoulders square to the anchor point, and now you're going to take that right foot, cross it over the left, and have both toes pointed to the left. Let your hips be square to the left, and now you're going to try and square your shoulders to the anchor point here. Once again, think about being planked up here even before you get started, and now we're going to take advantage of the single anchor point, square those shoulders, and now you're going to let those hips drop back and away from the anchor point. Exhale as you go down. Hold that bottom position, feel yourself open up along that left side of your body, all the way through the armpit, down through that IT band, and you're just going to go 3 cycles at your own pace. Bring yourself down, drive yourself back up through the hips, drop yourself back down again, and in that bottom position, let your head drop through, ears go to biceps, and take advantage of that single anchor point and let yourself get a little bit of animation in there. Find that spot where you feel you need to loosen yourself up a little bit. We don't want you to work around your compensations or your tight spots here. We want you to find them, relax, breathe into them, and create some mobility in those spots. Once you get 3 on that side, you're going to square yourself back up to the anchor point again, hips and feet. Now you're going to step across with that opposite leg. Both toes are going to be facing to the right. You're going to let your shoulders square up to the anchor point. Start with a nice tall plank. So before you drop into this movement, make sure you bring yourself in through nice and strong. Arms are nice and long, shoulders are square. Once you feel that you start from a nice strong plank position, let those hips drop back again. Now we're taking advantage of animating it here, trying to get some mobility, working into this upper back, just a breath or 2, and come back up. Remember, they're not static holds, they're not static stretches. It's a mobility work. Your heart rate's going to be coming up. Your blood flow is going to be going to where you want you to go, and we're starting to groove you into these movement patterns you're going to be using for the rest of the workout. Remember, this mobility is going to be great, not just for your workouts, but anytime during the day or your off day. Once you've got 3 both sides, we're going to move into another exercise. It's our half kneeling rollout. For this one, you're going to want to grab a towel or ball up, a t-shirt, or something you can put up under your knee on the ground. We're going to be doing 5 reps on each side, and you're going to start right underneath the anchor point. Our athletes are going to start with their left leg up and their right knee down. You're going to adjust the suspension trainer so your handles are right at knee level. So Daniel's got his adjusted right where we want. And then you're going to start with a good setup, because this exercise is going to work best when you set yourself up and everything's engaged before you get started. So this rear foot, we're going to tuck this toe underneath back here, so we're getting a little bit of dorsiflexion, a little bit of flexibility into that ankle to get started. You're going to have a nice line going from your right ear, right shoulder, right hip, right knee, going straight down. You want to feel that core turn on before you get started, and you also want to feel that right glute get turned on before you get started. You have both hands just inside that knee, and now the rollout is going to take place at a 45-degree angle, and you're going to try and keep your hips and that knee square forward. As you go down, you want to feel that core stay engaged, opening up through that front hip, through the adductors or the inside of the leg, and also the hip flexor of that rear leg. So we're really integrating good core stability here with a little challenge from that shoulder mobility we've already created, opening up those hips, and so now we're going to be able to integrate a loaded stretch, some mobility with static moves in the lower body and dynamic moves in the upper body. Anytime you'll be climbing or doing something like you're digging or reaching, you're going to be able to take advantage of this hip mobility to give you a better foundation to drive more strength and power through that upper body. If for some reason you're a little bit tighter in the hips than most people, we can take advantage of this, and what Mitch is going to do to give you a quick highlight of it, he's going to slide forward a little bit more in his stance. And so now as he rolls out into that range of motion, he's taking advantage of our pendulum principle, meaning he's working downhill coming back. So if you need to make it easier, you're walking in front of the anchor point. If you want to make it tougher, you come back. Now part of this exercise is going into the switch as well. So once you've done 5 reps here, I want you to come back to that starting position, nice tall posture, feel like you're planted into the ground, put pressure down into the handles, and I want you to switch legs, keeping that torso nice and tall so that core stays turned on, that hip drops back, the other one comes up, So that's just as much part of this mobility workout as the rollout. So you reset yourself. We're going to bring Alexis's knee in just a little bit, bring that foot in a little bit, good. Hips are square forward, torso's nice and tall, and now you go back into your rollout. 45-degree rollout. Working through the front leg, you're looking for that inner thigh or opening up those adductors. That rear leg, you're getting those hip flexors and that glute staying turned on. You'll see Daniel keeps that toe tucked back here the entire time. So he's working from a good, strong foundation in those hips, loaded stretching, loaded mobility. We're getting a lot of things going on at the same time. Our warm-ups are not just about randomly getting your heart rate up or getting blood flow going. Those things happen because we're looking at targeted movements where we're working on stability in certain places, mobility in other places. That's going to lead to better performance and better durability during the workout and during everything else you're doing. So for the half kneeling rollout, we're getting 5 reps on each side. And the reason we're working with some of that hip mobility, our next exercise is really going to focus on opening up those hips even a little bit more. Our next exercise is going to be the TRX Cossack. We're going to keep the suspension trainer at mid-length. You're going to stand facing the anchor point, and you're going to start with wide foot stance. Torso stays nice and tall, but you want to make sure when you're loading up this torso that you don't let those hips drop back. You drop into this anterior pelvic tilt. So you want to feel like you're starting with a tight core here. Hips are engaged in back, lengthening through those quads. Feel like you're pulling those kneecaps up. We're going to do 8 reps. We're going to move to the left first. Ready, begin. This is going to be one exercise. We're going to show you some different levels. Mitch is going just half range of motion here because he's a little bit more restricted in his hips. He's driving himself down, trying to open up that trail leg to get that inside thigh to release. You'll see Alexis can drop all the way down, and one thing you want to notice here is she's keeping that core turned on. That trail leg stays nice and straight, and she's pulling those toes up towards her shin to lengthen that entire posterior chain all the way down. And Daniel is getting that same bottom position here. Core stays turned on, trail leg stays nice and long, and he's imagining he's doing this under a nice low ceiling. So now we're really making sure we're getting some dynamic mobility going side to side both ways across here. Find the level that's most appropriate for you. It's not making it hard, it's making it appropriate. Core stays turned on, tight core, mobility into the hips. Those hips have to be mobile before we can make them strong and powerful. Once you've done 8 reps going side to side, you're going to stand up for our last movement of this mobility, which is our split fly. And this is not going to be a strengthening exercise. We're going to end up doing 8 reps. You're going to be alternating arms. The key here is to think about whichever arm is driving down, that's your strength arm. Whichever arm is going up, that becomes your mobility arm. You're trying to create as much mobility in that shoulder working up as you can and as much in that strength as you go down. So we're going to have you start in that end range. We're going to have you start with your right arm up in the air, left arm down to the side. Find that end range here. You're going to have tension into the TRX suspension trainer because you're driving the arms back, not because you're leaning on it. And then you're going to let yourself drop back almost like you were doing a row. You're going to re-engage those shoulder blades, pull them down and back. And now you're going to drive down hard with that right arm and high with that left arm. Think about that plank staying nice and strong the entire time. When in doubt, think about bringing the bottom of that rib cage towards the pelvis a little bit more. Daniel's got it locked in nice and strong here. So now we got good tension working in the core here. Strengthen this right lat, mobility into this left shoulder. You can go whatever speed feels comfortable for you. If you're going to make a mistake, make the mistake of working a little bit slower than you want to, and think about that right arm or the down arm is doing most of the strength work, whichever arm is coming up doing the mobility work. So feeding back into what we did with those standing facing wall slides, we're taking advantage of some of that shoulder mobility and adding a little bit of rotation in there. We've opened up those hips, we've got that core turned on, we're finishing up with an opening exercise here to make sure you can be able to breathe well, to make sure you can be able to get the space and length you want to be able to drive into these exercises. And now we're going to get ready for a workout, or if this is a mobility exercise you're just doing during the day, you're going to be more durable and more prepared for anything you have coming up for the rest of the day.